St. John, St. Mark, they both have a very deep meaning in my life.
That was the beginning of our journey.
It's something all of us should be proud of.
This story is about the spirit of this community.
Togetherness from our community that I will never forget.
I really can't believe that it's 60 years. It's hard to believe it.
I was here from the very beginning, from being in the choir. In fact, that's where I met Carnegie. He saw me in the choir and he used to wait outside the church waiting for me. Yeah.
And in 1956, my parents moved to Springfield, Mass.
St. John's started when I was like 6 or 7 years old.
I do remember Father Calfian was our first priest. Following Father Calfian, Father Ferigian and his family.
You know, we just were there very actively every Sunday. My parents were very involved. Our regular Sunday life was always at church, and during the week, one or both of them would always have a meeting somewhere in the hall. And when I went away to school, I came home and went to church.
St. Mark's is very personal to me, not because I was the building chairman. It goes back to when I was a kid and St. John's was being formed. They used to have meetings at my father's house, and I saw the planning of how people put together a church.
My parents were very involved in the building and then in the initial stages of St. John.
The history of this church started with my grandfather, my father.
In November of 1965, my wife Eleanor and I and our 8-month-old son Stephen moved to a Springfield area. And at that time, we decided to come to the church. We had heard about this church. We had moved from Detroit to here. And so we called the church. And she talked to Nishan Omaryan. Nishan was parish council chairman, I'm pretty sure, at that time. Ellie asked if the church had a nursery school here. There is no extra rooms in there, it's just the hall and the kitchen. But Nishan gets the phone call, and Ellie asks if there's a nursery school. And Nishan won't say no, there's no nursery school here. He says, well, you come down here and we'll take care of him. You know, that's no problem at all. And so we come down and we see the church. It's a beautiful church. I love the church, but it's quite limited downstairs. But Nishan's there and he's greeting us and showing us everything. And we really enjoyed the camaraderie of the place. That's what really stands out here, is the spirit of this community. And so we've been members now since 1965.
At the consecration, I was one of maybe 7 or 8 girls being hostesses, and we wore our gowns, and I think that was the first time I had a gown on. But it was such a lovely affair, and it was so impressive. Carnegie and I were married in 1959, a year after St. John's was consecrated. And I believe we were the second couple that were married there. It was originally a Baptist church. Carnegie did quite a bit of work on the church to conform to an Armenian church. He rebuilt the concrete steps leading into the church, and he reconstructed the altar.
My involvement started at St. John's when they asked my parents if I would be able to learn the organ, because they knew I knew some piano, and if I could help being assistant organist. And I worked with Akabi, who was my idol. I loved her. She and I became so close. I just found that the music and the liturgy was just so moving. and I was so happy to be involved.
Dad Nessus was, I think, one of the clergy that I worked closely with.
He probably had the most positive impact of in my childhood life, and he was a go-getter.
Because of Father Jebejan's spiritual guidance and his leadership, I became even more involved.
And he would contact the youth, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to put on a sports weekend.
We had a good group of ACYY members, and I think coming together with Dad Nessus leading us, we put on this sports weekend, and that brought us even closer together. And we had a lot of fun doing it. We have a lot of great memories.
Without his influence in all of us in moving forward, we probably would not have done the many great things that we did back then. He was just a great motivator and a great leader for our parish.
There were so many members of our church that contributed to our building both churches.
Armin and I are going around looking for a place to build. And the previous Gunkahire for the church, the previous godfather of the church, had donated then 7 acres of land on Kibbe Road in East Longmeadow. So Armin and I went over and looked at it, and there was a serious problem, we were told. You can only build 3 lots on the street. Everything else is water back there, see? So it was wet ground. So we decided we better sell this and get whatever we can get, and somebody can go build their house lots there and not have any trouble. So we did that. We sold it for $24,000, and then we found this property right here.
Back in the early 70s, we were approached by a family here on Wilbraham Road as they heard that we were looking for a building lot for a new church. They wanted to make sure their property was going to be used for something that they would be proud of. This is what this property now is situated on, the church, the existing parish house.
So we did the deal for that. So for $35,000 or $6,000 we bought this place, and that's how we got here.
After that, we formed a building committee. That committee was made up of myself, Harry Demergen, Nisho Martin, Karnik Degarian, Armin Jermakian, Karnik Zarugian, and Lionel Barad.
This is either 1979 or 80, and I'm on the parish council, and we're having a meeting, and we decide to sell the church. So I was asked to get an estimate of what the church is worth. And we kind of thought it'd be in the $20,000, $30,000 neighborhood. And so it just happened to turn out that there was a group of people in the neighborhood. This group wants a church here, and they want our church. The bishop comes up with their community people, and they come to our meeting to make us an offer for the church. And the bishop takes the lead, and she comes right out and says, we're prepared to offer you $100,000 for this place with everything the way it is. This was the first time the parish council, in all the years I had been on since then, that they voted 11-0 for anything. So we made the deal. We were then without a church, and this went on for about 2 years. On Plumtree Road, there was Ursuline Academy, which was a parochial school, and had shut down. So we used that as our facilities for the interim time.
And we still continued with the services.
Father Submergent was the right priest at the right time to help us through the building process.
I think for a group of people, 50 families, we should be very proud that we built this church without a full-time priest.
We wanted a church that was symbolic of the Armenians. And so Raymond Hosepian, who had done the church in New Britain, it's a beautiful church there, agreed to do a church for us, and that was a great deal.
Ray Hosepian is an architect out of Worcester, worked on many church designs for the Armenian church, looked at our feasibility study and decided, let me draw some plans up and let's get some prices on what it would cost to build. He did this at no charge. He was a friend of our parish. The first attempt to get pricing was absolutely shocking. It was twice as much as what it was estimated.
The estimate was $750,000, and that kind of blew our mind for a congregation with a little over 100 people.
But Ray said, let me take the prints back and rework them. And that's what he did. But the biggest thing that he did was he decided he was going to run the project. And he told our parish, I'm not charging you a penny. We want this project to go forward. The second thing that he suggested was, let's not put it out to general contractors. Let's put it out to the trade.
Ed Garabedian was the building chairman, and he and Raymond and the parish council decided to parcel out the job, hire out a civil engineer, and break the project down into all its components, like excavation, steel, and brick, and whatever. And so it was rebid on that basis, and the bidding came out to be $425,000. It was unbelievable.
The bids came in almost $400,000 cheaper than the first bid. The parish council got excited, and we broke ground.
We were the biggest project going on in Springfield in 1982.
I remember the excitement at St. John when the decision was made to come and build here.
We also had a fundraising in that time period in 81 and 82, and we gained another $150,000 plus commitments for more.
Harry Demergen and his committee was the brightest news of this entire construction, because they went out and they called people, they sent letters out, they formed a committee that brought in funds faster than the building was constructed. The excitement was there. We were able to put back the brick. We were able to pave the driveway and the parking lot. We were able to do the kitchen, which was not in the original bid.
In the interim, Nishano Martin passed away.
He was very instrumental in getting this church going. Both the old church, St. John, and this church. Because of him being so involved, they actually named the hall after him.
Armin became the chairman at that point, and he did a marvelous job. He got Eddie Garabedian to be the building chairman, and I was the fundraising chairman, and Hago Boyajian was the chairman of the inside of getting the pews and the memorials for the church. It was quite a story, yeah.
I think one of the proudest things that our committee was able to do was to bring the most important things from St. John's to St. Mark's. Our altar was originally installed at St. John's. It is in St. Mark's. All of our stained windows we were able to bring from St. John's to St. Mark's. And the results is that the feeling of St. John's was transferred into St. Mark.
I remember the day that St. Mark's was consecrated. It was a joy that we had our new home.
After the church was completed, in 1 year, that mortgage was paid off.
One of the happiest times, I believe, for all of us was when we burned the mortgage. Everyone worked so hard, and to me that was amazing.
Festival achievements that began at much greater heights under Father Vasquez's leadership. Where we used to have an attendance of 100, 125 persons attend our festival, we were able to grow that to over 700 attendees from our neighborhoods, surrounding cities. They come because we put on a great product. The work that we do together to put this event on is just a testament to our church.
Our parish is not a big parish, but this is a parish full of life. Each time when I see how our parishioners come together, how they help each other by organizing an event, it reminds me another great saying: together we can do what we cannot do alone.
There were many exciting things that happened throughout the years of St. Mark's. We've done many things here. We've hosted diocesan assemblies we should be proud of. That's huge for our small parish.
We are a parish that seems fearless to put on events that other churches our size will not even attempt to do. We have put on 3 diocesan assemblies in Springfield. There was one in the 80s when our church was first built, another assembly in 2002, another one in 2012. It gives a sense of what our community is all about, and when we put our minds to it, we can do great things. And Father Nudan became our parish priest. He was a very humorous side of him that made us all laugh, and he would tell many jokes. If he didn't have a future in priesthood and where he is now, he would have been a great comedian.
My mother was very close with Dear Nerses, and then she loved Dear Vasquez.
We are very fortunate to have Father Vasquez. He mentions many times during his visits to Springfield how we also helped him. We were his first parish. He's the first to say that he learned from us as well as we learned from him. We went through a period where we were having visiting priests on a regular basis. The spiritual leadership and the great advice that we got from other parish priests that helped us a great deal, such as Father Montpre and Father Gadanian, Father Simorian. I remember we had Father Sahag, and then we had Father Benlian, Father Mikhail.
And now we're here with Dear Sevag, who I love very much, along with his Yeretskin and children, which are very much a part of my life.
When I was the chairperson of the council, it was then told to me that Der Sevag will be coming to Springfield as an interim priest. I'll never forget the day I picked him up. It was Jerry Hatchikin and myself. We were at the train station, his first time here in Springfield. He didn't know English, and we didn't know, our Armenian wasn't that great. But we picked him up, we brought him back, and we went to Akabe's. That was the first place I took him. And I remember the first Sunday that he did liturgy here. It was just, wow, it was great.
My mom was head of Women's Guild and did a lot with the Sunday school. I followed my mother in doing all the altar stuff, cleaning the altar and fixing the altar laces and all that. I'm now Women's Guild chairman, and I would not trade it for anything. I love doing everything I do here. I know I'm doing it for the future of the church.
My mother, and it's no secret that she was a great cook, but her church life is one thing she's never forgotten. Just watching my father throughout the years and the dedication that he put in his church, in this church, St. John and St. Mark, and the love he had for the church. I like to think that that's carried over throughout my family and my daughters and my wife, and we continue continually try our best to be dedicated members and leaders of this parish.
What I see in the church is the spirit of this church. It's a place where people come from out of town and become members of our church and say, you know, I find this church amazing, and the camaraderie and the closeness and how people are immediately brought into the church. And that's an ongoing thing that I've seen.
You have people that come to our church that feel there's such warmth and love among us. And that's, we're a small parish, but I think we do portray that. I hope we always will.
We developed many friendships, lifelong friendships, and which I cherish today.
2 years ago on Christmas Day, when I gave the sermon, I shared a story, one of my childhood dreams, to have a remote control helicopter. And after that service, many people came to me and they said, "Dad, you didn't tell us if you got that helicopter." I said, "No, that was only a dream." And a few months later, one of our parishioners came and said, "Dad, I have a gift for you." And then he gave me a box. And when I opened that box, I found my remote control helicopter. So my dream, my childhood dream, became true.
Reflecting back on the 60 years of St. Mark and St. John parishes, if you look at the individuals that work so hard to get us to this point, I truly believe that our love of our church is the reason why we are going to have great successes throughout our future.
There were so many members who are deceased, who contributed, and this is a tribute to them.
There is a saying, if you cannot find what you love, try to love what you have found. I serve at St. Mark Parish almost 4 years now. And when I came here, I said to myself that maybe this is not what you love. Try to love what you have found. But after 4 years, I can definitely say that I have found what I love.
Here we are, evolving beautifully in this big church.
If I don't come to church, I actually miss it.
We have a pretty strong foundation here. I go to many different churches throughout the diocese. However, it's just wonderful to be back here, and because it is home, and it is something that I was a part of. Who would have known that we would have made it to 60 years? That's really, I think, probably the most amazing thing out of it, that we still have, we've gone through 3 generations of kids, parents, and all, and we've lost a lot, but it's still keeping on going. Our church service is just beautiful, and we have a fabulous choir, and it looks beautiful, and it's still thriving. So we should be very proud of what we've got.
We should be proud. 60 years.
It's a wonderful feeling. It's a feeling that everyone in Springfield should really look at, because it's all of your family, your uncles, your grandmothers, your grandfathers. They're the ones that put this all together. And when you think of St. Mark's and where we are today, you think of those people. You think of my dad. You think of all the Armenians that put their blood and soul into the church. And you don't want to lose that. It's so important.
That's the continuing spirit of Springfield, and we hope that we'll see another 20 or 30 or 40 or 60 years.
And I'm hoping that it will stay that way for a long time to come.
This church means a lot to me.
I love my parishioners. And now even they are not my parishioners, they are my family.
60 years of St. Mark's and St. John's. you.